Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Today I'm going to be making a Christmas wreath or two using these bulbs. So you'll need some bulbs if you want to try this. I had bought a whole bunch of like vintage sets of lights. They ended up not really working that great and they were kind of sparking, so I did not feel comfortable using them, but I thought I hope I can just reuse these bulbs in some way. So I seen this on Pinterest probably a few years ago. So that is where this idea came from, but you really just need a few things. So you're going to need a wreath form. I don't think it really matters what size you use. You just need more bulbs if it was a bigger one. I'm going to say this was probably like an 8 or a 9-inch one. I just happen to have it on hand. I also happen to have this garland on hand as well, but you can get that pretty inexpensively. I see it at thrift stores a lot as well. Same with the bulbs. If you didn't have bulbs, you can usually find them at thrift stores. So this one is optional, but I do think that it makes it look like more festive. My bulbs were in bad shape, so I tried painting them at first to make them gold, but then I decided to go ahead and add glitter to them. I think it made it look much better. If you had bulbs that were not in terrible shape, it might look fine just leaving the like edge the way that it is. All I did was just take a small paintbrush and paint on the clear glue around it and then just pour on the glitter, and it stuck just fine. I just tried to do a thin layer of glue so it wasn't so, it would dry quicker, and also so it wasn't so like gloppy. This definitely took quite a while to do all of these bulbs, but I just did it while I was watching a Christmas movie, so the time kind of passed rather like it was a nice experience. I'm showing you now what it looked like just painted gold, and as you can see it's much better with the glitter, just way more like festive. So I finally got them all done, then I kind of sorted them into colors just so I would know how many of each, just at a glance while I was making the wreaths, because you didn't want to put like the same color next to each other too many times, or at least I wouldn't. So you're just going to take your wreath form and your hot glue gun, just add a little bit, maybe like a quarter of the way, and put your piece of garland down to start it. I would say be very careful though, because garland isn't that thick, so you don't want to burn yourself, even though it's almost inevitably going to happen. But I just put a little bit to start it, and then I don't bother putting any until the end. I guess you could if you wanted to, but I like to just continuously wrap it and kind of push the garland together so it makes a nice dense wrap, and then I glue it at the very end, and I've never had a problem with it like not staying. But you do want to take the time to make sure it's nice and secured, especially at the end, because that's where it will have a tendency to want to like uncoil because you've wrapped it tightly. So I usually let it kind of sit there for a while, and then if it seems like it's not fully secure, I'll add a little bit more glue if I need to. And then once that is perfectly secured and dried, you're going to want to add your hook, or like your method of hanging the wreath. So I like to use pipe cleaners. So ideally you'd want to use the same color pipe cleaner, but it doesn't really matter that much because you're not really going to see it. So I just have silver pipe cleaners, so that's what I'm using. So I like to just fully wrap it around and then start twisting it, and then you're going to make a loop with it and twist it again. So you want to make sure it's just like very secure. I usually don't glue it down, but if you feel like that would make it more secure, you can glue it as well. I think I end up gluing it with this one, but in the past I haven't glued them down. Basically, you just want to make it secure around the wreath, but then also make a loop that is secure by twisting and like almost knotting it, because you're twisting it a bunch of different ways. I don't know how to explain it really. I'm so good at tutorials, clearly. Anyway, since the light bulbs were going to be added, I felt like it was probably going to get heavy, so I did add a little bit of glue to it too for like extra security. So then I'm just gonna take each light bulb and put a little bit of glue on the back side of the screw part, and then just a little bit up onto the actual bulb part. You can kind of see from the video like how far up I'm going. So I did make 2 different wreaths, and I did 2 different styles. For the clear, or what I'm calling the clear colored bulbs, I just did 1 row, but for the colored bulbs that are off to the right of the screen, I did 2 rows. So I'll show you how I did that later with this other one, but you're just gonna keep, you know, going around. I like to not have the same colors together, and I also like to not have a specific pattern where it like repeats itself, so I just tried to do a variety and kind of just see what looks good. But really for that part, it's completely your own preference. Like, you can have a repeating pattern if that's what you like or what you think look good. So then I got an idea to put 3 smaller bulbs in kind of the middle of the wreath sticking up, because I thought it would look good. And I do think this would look good if the wreath was bigger. So like I said, I think this one was an 8 or a 9 inch. I think it would look better if it was like a 12 or 14 or 16, but I put it on, but ultimately I didn't really like the way that it looked because it was taking up too much of this center part. I don't know, I wasn't feeling it, so I ended up ripping it off, as you can see in the video. But because there was some glue residue left over from me trying that, I ended up I just cut and glued a piece of garland around that like inner rim, just so that it wouldn't look, you wouldn't be able to see the glue. So, and it looks fine. You can't even really tell that I added the piece of garland because it just blends in. So for the other wreath that I made with just the colored, like solid colored bulbs, I just did the same thing. I followed the same exact way I did the other one for the first row. I'm using the same size wreath too. I think it's like an 8 or a 9 inch. But then for the second row, I did that after the first row just so I could tell where I would put my bulbs. But for the second row, I put the bulbs in between the openings of the first row, if that makes sense. And I just followed the same kind of pattern where I wasn't being too matchy-matchy, but I didn't want the same colors to touch each other, which is a little bit harder when you are putting it next to 2 bulbs. But anyway, I think they turned out really nice. I like the way they look. I think I like the clear colored bulb one better. But I do really like the way they turned out. They didn't take very long to do, and so I think it's a really easy craft you could do in a relatively short period of time for pretty inexpensive as well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this quick little video, and I will see you again soon.